I will be in Yuichiro tomorrow, and I'm really excited that hopefully the costume will be done.
Yeah, I believe
I'm gonna go work on that. I was up until 5 last night finishing this disaster. I started it less than 24 hours ago, and it's a disaster. The chill ends because we have to go make costumes for tomorrow. Clearly I don't have my costume on, and that is because it's not done yet. I worked all night and it's still not done. Instead of like going to bed after the Yoi meetup, we're doing costumes for a convention in what, 2 weeks? I'm so sorry. Hello, Manic Fam, because oh my god, there are actually people watching these videos. Even though I took like that whole accidental hiatus there, like, wow, hi, thank you for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. Oh my goodness. And of course, hello everyone else. Welcome to my channel, telekineticManiac. My name is Mad Dog, and on this channel here, we do all the things related to cosplay, from convention and event vlogs to tutorials, tips and tricks, and party cosplay discussions, which is what we are going to be doing today. In this video, I will be talking about the dreaded con crunch, how I've made changes to the way that I con crunch, and how I've been kind of struggling with and rethinking those changes during this whole pandemic. I want to talk about these things today because as those first couple clips show, I haven't been great about pacing my projects in the past, but some of the changes that I have made over time have really helped me, and maybe talking about con crunch like this and just kind of sharing my experiences could help other people. Now, I have a lot to say on the subject, so buckle in, folks! But first things first, let's go over what con crunch means on the off chance that some of you watching this video might not know. Con crunch is a pretty broad term used to describe a period of time leading up to a convention where some cosplayers may choose to spend most, if not all, of their time rushing through a costume build to finish before the event. When I first started cosplaying, this term most often meant the week leading up to a convention, but it can really mean any duration of time. Now, if your personal experience with this is different, that's super valid, but I personally have seen a lot of cosplayers who attend the convention called Katsucon go just absolutely super hard on their Katsu cosplays, and they've been known to call the couple months leading up to that convention Katsu Crunch in reference to Con Crunch, which is like, wow. First of all, a couple months of Con Crunch, oh my god. But that is an example of how much time Con Crunch can encompass nowadays. In the past, I've been a major participant in Con Crunch, and it is 100% because of my own stupidity and inability to pace myself responsibly. Especially when I was a college student, I would often work so much on my schoolwork, my work, and just making videos for this channel that I would often put my costumes off till the last second, and then when the week of the convention that I wanted to attend came around, I would rush through those costumes like there was no tomorrow. And there was really no good reason for me doing this, and it was super devastating to my health to just continually push myself so hard every so often, because I would just ignore my regular health needs, like sleeping and eating and exercise and like showering. And I do want to apologize to you all about this, because while at the time I didn't think I was doing anything wrong by con crunching and like sharing that I was con crunching, I have really changed my opinions about con crunch and how I just see social media in general over time, and I now see how bad of an influence I was being. Which isn't me claiming to be some sort of social media influencer, like I'm just a wee cosplayer over here. I just recognize now that talking about making my costumes last minute at the expense of my health may have contributed to normalizing what was for me an incredibly unhealthy habit. So this is just me saying I apologize for my past actions, and I'm so sorry for how they might have impacted anybody else who watched them. Honestly, I'm sorry for like everything I did when I was like 18, 19, 20. But that's not super relevant to this video, so we're gonna move on. Also, I keep saying the phrase may have because at the time of me filming this video, I have no idea of actually knowing how I affected people. No one's really communicated anything with me, and no one's like canceled me or anything, so maybe everyone who just saw my behavior was like, wow, that's not good. I'm gonna do not that, and moved on, which would be really spectacular. But the fact that my behaving this way could have influenced people at any point in time, that's enough for me. So I just want to apologize for anything that could be. I'm truly sorry. Now, I believe it was at the end of 2017, early 2018 that I really noticed, like personally, how much con crunch was taking its toll on me. Because while it started off as just like a couple rushed projects here and there, it was becoming a pretty bad lifestyle pretty quick. And I saw this about myself, super hated realizing it about myself, so I decided to make a change in this thing that had regrettably become a part of my identity. Instead of con crunching the way I always had, I moved to pace myself better. I created a goal to not con crunch like I had ever again, and then I picked a project in which I could start the process of trying to create better habits. As I am an artist, I have a degree in fashion design and I create things for my job right now. I knew that this was going to be incredibly difficult for me because it really meant changing my entire creative process and, in a way, my entire life. So the project I picked to test this new work method on was in fact the Nightwalker, a dream cosplay of mine since I was like 8 years old and didn't know what anime was, let alone what cosplay was. This was a project that meant the world to me. Still means the world to me, TBH. And because of that, I knew that I would be motivated to work on it and complete it, even through what was sure to be a really difficult process, not to mention how difficult the crafting itself was. I also chose to make working on this project a secret cosplay, so that I could try out my new work methods without any, like, internet influence. After creating that goal and picking my project, ultimately, the change that I made to my process was I decided to work on cosplay just like a little bit every day, or on crazy busy weeks, I would just work on it a little bit at the end of the week. And after a bunch of trial and error, like a couple years of trial and error because the Nightwalker was not perfect, and while I didn't force myself to ruin my health for that costume, I was still working on it right up until the day of the competition that I entered it in, and that was like a couple days into the convention I was gonna wear it at. Oh boy. Anyway, after a bunch of trial and error, I can say pretty confidently that I do actually have much better habits for my creative process. And I can say that I have a much healthier mindset and just overall lifestyle. I now have a pretty regular sleeping and eating schedule, and like this has nothing to do with cosplay, but I'm finally working through this injury I got a while back and I'm running again. I'm so happy. And I'm doing all of this while completing my other responsibilities and still making costumes for cosplay. And this is all because one day I looked at myself and I decided that I needed to make a change and have some better crafting habits. This has ultimately been a much better path for me than only working on things when I felt like I could, which ultimately led to me putting things off and then con crunching and putting my body through a lot of stress and anxiety and bodily harm. And while I'm an artist and I can get way too into my work sometimes, and there's always the possibility that a project might just get away from me and I may feel the need to crunch through it, like, there are ups and downs to everything, y'all. Success is not a straight path, but I will say that setting that goal to not con crunch like I had ever again, regardless of what's to come, that has helped me so much. While I do hope that you folks watching this video already have healthy crafting habits, I am aware that that may not actually be the case. And I'm gonna take a quick second here to acknowledge the elephant in the room. That being, of course, if my previous actions weren't bad enough, I am unfortunately not alone in normalizing con crunch. So there are a lot of things that could be better in the cosplay community, but in regards to this video, there are just like a whole bunch of things that I think are just wrong about how some cosplayers talk about con crunch. In a lot of ways, I think some people glorify it, and I don't think that's right. Now, obviously I don't know everyone's situation, and I'm clearly not a health professional, But I think in a lot of cases, crunching through work like this is a really unhealthy habit. And it's kind of disturbing to me to see other cosplayers make this habit seem like such a normal part of the creative process, and in extra bad cases, even pressure other cosplayers to take part in it. Now I know that's a whole other can of worms, and this video is ultimately going to be about my behavior and how I've tried to change it, just kind of in hopes that it may help somebody else who may be struggling with the same sort of things. But I didn't want to leave that elephant in the room unacknowledged, so yeah. If you feel like you're relating to the me of a couple of years ago and feel like you're contributing to this problem, and or you're just feeling that pressure from the cosplay community, I want to take this moment to encourage you to let what I've said just resonate with you. I want to encourage you to stay strong if you haven't given in to pressure yet, or to please just make a change in yourself for yourself. Everyone is different, and the change that I made in myself may not be the one for you, but if you need a sign, this is it. Try something different. Anyway, back to my story about creative struggles, because this is where everyone, and I mean everyone, gets involved. So this was all well and good for a little bit there, but of course, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked. And by Fire Nation, I mean coronavirus. Literally everything on this planet has changed because of this absolutely nuts global pandemic that I cannot believe we all have the unfortunate pleasure of living through right now. And in times like this, I especially can't believe that I have to sit there and remind myself that it is a pleasure that I am living right now. Because that is, of course, how terrifying the situation really is. These are horrifying times, and this virus is truly terrible in ways that I'm not gonna super get into in this video, because hi, I've already said that I'm not a health professional, and I'm certainly not highly educated in infectious disease either. So let's everyone just get our information on that elsewhere. But the virus does lead us to today, and me wanting to talk about one of the least horrifying outcomes of this pandemic, which is a huge change and or loss in motivation to be creative. Is it just me, or is every other cosplay related post that just like pops up on my timeline yet another post about how all cosplayers want to do is like finish their costumes, but they just can't find the motivation to do so? In a way, without any conventions to prepare for, or hell, even crunch for, and like in their place just the ever-lurking virus. I've seen so many previously cheery cosplayers just left feeling hopeless and unmotivated and empty. And I know when looking at the big picture, this is really the least of our concerns, but that doesn't actually change how upsetting and frustrating and how much it's affecting each of our lives in our much littler pictures. So if you are feeling any of this during this time, you are valid. Surviving this pandemic is hard enough, and it's devastating to all of us, and it's even more difficult to try and thrive as our creative selves within it. It took me years to feel like I had successfully created a positive change in my lifestyle, and right now I feel like that's just been completely ripped from me. Just as the creativity has been ripped from all of us, I'm really struggling again, and struggles like this can be valid anytime. Like, for those of you who may be watching this video long after the pandemic, although that seems like a pipe dream to me right now, every lifestyle can become hard to maintain given certain circumstances. And if those circumstances hit you, you're valid. These circumstances are certainly hell. Right now, my motivation just comes and goes as it pleases and can just leave me so drained and hopeless and unwilling to work on something, even though cosplay is my favorite heckin' hobby. Like, I just want to participate in my favorite hobby. Motivation, please, stay. So, I'm back to square one. I'm looking at myself and I'm once again trying to make a change. The times are so rough, but I want to create a change in my habits and just become motivated again. With no cons to work towards though, how can I make this work? I'm gonna be blunt. I don't have an answer for y'all. Simultaneously, I have a lot less free time, but a lot more time to think on my hands. And I will say, I'm using a lot of that time rethinking how I work. I'm trying new things all the time. I'm not just doing ye old work on cosplay a little bit every day, because that tried and true method is just not working for me right now. So I'm trying new things. This is actually one of the reasons that I started streaming on Twitch. I wanted to be sure that I would still participate in cosplay no matter how I was feeling. Setting a schedule for Twitch allows me to make sure that I'm participating in cosplay at least a little, even though things are so up in the air with this pandemic. Even though we're in this constant state of flux, that's just a little bit of stability I've created for myself. Twitch has me working at a really slow pace, TBH, but a really relaxing pace. I've always loved cosplay, but I feel like I'm enjoying it now more than ever when I'm live streaming and I'm talking to folks as I'm working. Even though we're all stuck at home, it is a really wonderful little sense of community that I got, and I'm so happy about it. And while the constant threat of a virus is probably contributing to how much I am loving cosplay right now, I do think a little bit of it has to do with this change in my work practice. And for me at least, one of, if not the only good thing to come out of this virus is that change. So I've talked about a lot today. I've rambled on, as usual. I've talked about con crunch. I've talked about how I've changed my habits related to con crunch. I've gone on about how coronavirus is kinda not helping those changes, and I've talked about some new changes I've been trying out. Other than the fact that coronavirus is affecting us all, what does this have to do with you? As I said earlier, I hope that everybody watching this already has healthy crafting habits. But if you don't, here's where I want to encourage you to use all this time away from everything to at least think about those habits. Conventions have been completely taken away from us for a time. Honestly, everything's really kind of been taken away from us for a time. And while it may be difficult, and it may not be something that we can put 100% into all the time given the circumstances, like, I'm not at all saying that everyone should emerge from this pandemic in like this state of perfect health with like this whole perfect future, whatever the heck. Like, I do not think that should be promoted at all. Like, this is a state of crisis. We should focus on getting through this. But given everything, this is a chance to try something new. It's a chance for us to reflect on what we're doing and to make ourselves better. And it may take a lot of trial and error, but I highly encourage all cosplayers to take advantage of this opportunity and turn this dreadfully bleak experience into something just a little brighter. There's definitely more that can be said on these topics, but I am done talking for the day. I really just wanted to share a little bit of my experience dealing with these things, because while I am far from perfect, rethinking how I create and making changes to my creative process has been extremely beneficial to me, and sharing my experiences could maybe help someone else. Even if it's just helping one person, that would be so spectacular to me. I hope if anyone watching this feels they need a change for whatever reason, I hope that this is just at least a little bit of a help for you to hear. Alrighty everybody, experience sharing and vaguely insightful Mad Dog need to be recharged. So I'm gonna go watch Premiere and cry over Studio Trigger right now because Premiere just came out on Blu-ray in the US and I've been really excited to watch it all day. I have not seen the dub yet and I'm kinda hyped because Crispin Freeman and Johnny Young Bosch are in it, which is like, what more do you want from a dub, really? Like, what more can you ask for there? Anyway, I would appreciate a big old thumbs up on this video if you liked it or found even just a little bit of it helpful for you. And if you're willing to share, I'd love to hear about your experiences as a cosplayer going through these same things. So totally leave a comment and tell me what you think and stuff. I will be doing my usual and looking at those and responding, so don't think the conversation ends here. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Maybe we can have like a whole collection of experience points. I can just be there in the comments and a resource for folks who may be struggling with this in the future and may need some advice, because younger me would have really appreciated that. Oh boy. So if you have something to say, feel free to share. And once again, just thank you all for watching my videos. I'm really surprised that anyone at all is currently watching these videos because I really like shot this YouTube channel in the foot when I did my thesis project. Anyway, for real, thank you guys so much for watching. I super appreciate it. And yeah, there are still really no conventions to attend, so I will just, I'll see you in my next video. Alrighty, goodbye everyone!